So today we're talking about the midpoint formula, and the learning target for today is I can develop and apply the formula for a midpoint. Alright, let's get going. So we need to first talk about what the formula is for midpoint. And what we're given here, the formula for midpoint is, it's actually kind of two different formulas. The first formula is this x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and what that does is that finds your new value of x for a coordinate, okay? So what you're using is, if you know two endpoints of a line segment, for example, over here we have A and we have B, and A is at x1, y1, and B is at x2, y2, we can just add those x1s and the x2 together, divide by 2, which is just finding the average of the x values, and that will give you the value of where your midpoint is for x. Okay? And we'll do the same thing for y. If you have y1, y2 over here, you're going to find the average of the distance between those two, and you'll get some point. And if you connect that coordinate based on what you found here, you'll find the midpoint. Okay? So your key concept here is when you're given a problem that asks you to find the midpoint, the first thing you need to do is identify the value of x and y. That would be for both points given. For example, the x is for point A and the x is for point B, the value of y for point A and the value of y for point B. Then the second thing is you need to plug those values of x and y into the midpoint formula. Into the midpoint formula, which is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2, and then solve for x and then solve for y. Okay, let's get going. Alright, example 1 says to find the coordinates of the midpoint of PQ, line PQ with endpoints P at negative 8, 3, and Q is at negative 2, 7. So if we take a look here, again, here's the midpoint formula. So what we know we can do is we can just plug in the values of x's into here and the values of y's and then solve, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. My x1 I'm going to take as negative 8 here. I'm going to add that to the x2, which is negative 2. We're going to divide that by 2. And then for the y's, we have y1, which is 3, plus the y2, which is 7, and divide that by 2. Now this is just solving algebraically, right? Negative 8 plus a negative 2 is a negative 10, divided by 2 still. And the y's, 3 plus 7 is 10, divided by 2. Again, we're just solving this the rest of the way. Negative 10 divided by 2 is a negative 5, and 10 divided by 2 is a positive 5. So the coordinates of that midpoint of this line here is at negative 5, 5. And that's all you do to solve for the midpoint of a line. Alright, example 2 gets a little bit trickier here, okay? So what we have here is we have the m is the midpoint of xy. We have a line xy, and we know m is going to be the midpoint. X has coordinates at 2, 7, and m, that's our midpoint, has coordinates at 6, 1. So we don't know the value of y. We don't know the coordinates for y here. We know x and we know the midpoint of this line, but we don't know the coordinates of y, and that's what we're trying to discover here. So I'm going to remind us of what the midpoint formula is again. It's x1 plus x2 divided by 2 is our new value of x, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2 is our new value of y. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to we're just going to say that the y coordinates, so anytime we have for y here, point y, it's going to be x, y. We're just going to use those coordinates in this formula. So let's go ahead and set this up. We know that m is the midpoint, which is 6, 1, is going to equal then 2 plus x. 2 is the x value of coordinate x divided by 2. And 7, which is the y value of x, plus y divided by 2. Okay, so I've set this up into the midpoint formula now, and that's our third step then is to find the x coordinate. Okay, so we know 2 plus x divided by 2 should give us 6, right? So we're going to plug that in. We have 2 plus x divided by 2 should equal 6. Now this is just algebra. Multiply by 2 on both sides. We end up getting 2 plus x is equal to 12. Subtract 2 from both sides. We end up getting x is equal to 10. Okay, so my x value is 10 for the coordinate of y. Now we need to go back. Our fourth step is to find the y coordinates for the coordinate of y. And we have, we know 7 plus y divided by 2 should equal then 1, right? Alright, multiply by 2 again. We end up getting 7 plus y is equal to 2. And we have to subtract 7 from both sides, and we end up getting y is equal to -5. Which means, or so, y coordinates is 10, -5.